I was told not to homeschool high school because your kids won't be able to get into a college. And so far, I've graduated 4 kids at 16 or 17 years old, and they've all gone to Brigham Young University, which is a difficult school to get into. Welcome back to Single Mom on a Farm. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining me. Today's topic is something I'm super excited about. I've been wanting to do it for a really long time. It's not been suggested to me by a viewer. Mostly I've been doing viewer recommendation videos, but this is something I thought about a really long time ago, maybe like 6 or 9 months ago before I even started my channel. Something I was going to do a blog post about, but I figured I might as well just do a video. I'm not exactly sure what to title it. Something about like living unconventionally, or like not listening to myths or stereotypes or what other people say if that's not what is in your heart to follow. So I'm going to talk about like 15 or 16 different things that people have said to me that I didn't believe, or I followed my gut instead of following that traditional advice or wisdom that people would thought would have been good. So some of them I might talk about for a little while, and otherwise I'll just mention quickly and keep going. So the first one I thought of was that I would need to work during medical school. People said you couldn't be a stay-at-home mom during medical school. You would have to work because otherwise you can't afford medical school. But I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. My baby was due in September. We moved there and started school in August. And I was able to make that happen. Along those same lines, we were told not to have any children during medical school, that we wouldn't be able to afford them, that it's not fair to kids to grow up with such little money and their dad got all of the time. Wait until we have a real physician job and we can afford them, and then they can have the things that they need. But of course, we didn't listen to that. I had 4 kids in medical school, and I was 8 months pregnant with the 5th when my husband graduated from medical school. And I was kind of thinking that it's sort of better to be poor when they're younger, and that they wouldn't even remember or notice that we didn't have a lot of money, and that they weren't doing things that the friends wanted. And I felt like it'd be better to have the physician job when they were teenagers and able to do the things that they wanted to do and have their own bedrooms or things like that. I also felt like the children wouldn't even remember those lean years. Kylie was 6 when Nathan graduated from medical school, so she hardly remembers being squished in a bedroom with 3 other siblings. She never really cared about that. It was fun to share a bedroom, and I also thought that was the only time that they'd have to share that many kids, and that was proved wrong as we stayed in a 3-bedroom house for a long time later. During her middle school years, she had to share the bedroom. There are 5 girls in a bedroom, but anyway, at the time I was thinking, this is the only time that we'll have this little income. This is the only time they'll all have to share 1 bedroom. She won't even remember. That's all little kids think about is the playing outside and playing with their toys, Play-Doh, just all the things that matter to kids. They didn't care that we didn't have a stove or dishwasher, that we had a 761 square foot house, that we didn't have gadgets and electronics and other things like that. So I thought it was a great time to start a family. There's one other thing I was going to say that I forgot. And Nathan is actually home a lot more during medical school than any other time in our life, because he's just taking classes. And so, classes aren't all day, but when you're in residency or a real doctor, a lot of times it's like 8 in the morning to 8 at night, or sometimes it's 8 in the morning to 2 p.m. the next day. They have to do a 36-hour shift or something like that. So he was actually home a lot. And so I'm really glad that they have some good memories of him when they were first little. Another myth, or something that I was told, is to gain 25 to 35 pounds with each pregnancy, and I only gained 17 to 21 because I knew my body. The doctor would say I need to gain more or whatever, but I think you should just listen to your body and do what you feel that it needs to do. People told me not to exercise very much when you're pregnant, to take it easy, rest a lot, eat a lot, those kinds of things. And I just kind of felt like I know myself, I need a lot of exercise. I like to keep moving. I built shelves. I mowed the lawn. So I'd mow big and pregnant, mow with a baby on a backpack, and things like that. So, you just do what you're comfortable with. I'd climb up on counters. I'd swing on swings, do whatever. I was told that I'd probably like keep 5 to 10 pounds after each baby. Don't have a lot of kids because they're going to be really fat. And I didn't. I weigh the same as when I was 16. So I feel like I'm glad I didn't listen to that, because it's not true for everybody. If you don't want to keep 10 pounds after, maybe it won't for you if you have that mindset. I was also told that newborns are very expensive. You need like changing tables and the diaper genie and the baby wipe warmers, dressers. What else do you need? Like the bassinet and a crib and swings, strollers, car seats, bouncers, all kinds of stuff that can be really expensive. And I kind of felt like I kind of always had a mindset of settlers, old settlers or pioneers, early colonizers. It's like they had babies without all these things. I'm sure that it's still doable today. And to just get what I needed, it felt like fits my personality. I'm not a stuffed person, so I don't want stuff all over my house, especially in the 761 square foot house. We really didn't have room for things like that. And I just don't, I'm a very simple person. So I had the crib. We got one nice crib. Nathan's medical school friends, no, it was our church friends in medical school gave me a $200 gift card to a baby store. And I was just able to get one nice crib. And I thought this crib is going to be wonderful and last all 10 kids. And I had the drop down side, which I think they don't sell anymore. And I love that because you can just put the mattress right here and I can just change the baby right there. So that's where I changed the baby, or on the couch or the floor. We always had some carpet. I didn't need a changing table. I didn't need a dresser. They just need a little bit of clothes. I didn't listen to the people that said they need like 15 onesies and all these clothes and all these socks and stuff. I feel like babies don't need that much. If you don't want to spend that much money, you don't have to. So don't listen to other people telling you how much stuff babies need if you don't feel like they need that much. Do it what you want. It's really for the parents, how much stuff. Every once in a while, I feel like I really just need a swing. Every baby has a swing. And so I'd borrow one and realize I didn't really put the baby in it that much. The baby didn't like it, or the baby was usually happier on the floor where they can get mobile. And I feel like my kids were more mobile. They sat up really early. They rolled over really early. They crawled and walked because they were active on the floor in the house or outside on the grass, without being on all those things. And a couple times I did borrow like an extra saucer because I thought that was fun, but I never just like went out and bought all the gear. So go ahead and have babies if you think. I even only would get like 2 passies, because it's just easier to keep track of 2. Like when you have a whole bunch, you can't find any of them and you don't care about them enough, so they always get lost. But if I just had 2, I always just kept one in the crib, so when the baby went down for a nap, the passy was there, and one in the diaper bag for when I was out. And that's just where they always stayed, and so they didn't get lost. But I was saying, if you feel like you don't need any of that stuff, or you feeling like people tell you not to have a baby until you can afford all that stuff, do what you think you need. If you're not going to use a stroller, like don't bother getting one. But like a stroller was very important to me because I went on walks every day with my babies and toddlers. So I really needed a stroller. I just got a double stroller actually for my very first baby. I just got a double stroller because I knew we'd have a big family. So I just went ahead and invested in the double stroller with the car seat. And I knew car seats obviously are a law, and you want your baby safe in the car. So get a good car seat that will last a long time. And I skipped most of the other stuff. I got a tiny little high chair. I think our neighbor gave it to us. Actually, it was one of those like $15 high chairs that you strap to a chair. So we got that because we could take it off to use the chair if we needed to for company. So I never got like a big fancy one. People give you things too all the time. I mean, if you ask for things, you can borrow them. I'd rather borrow and then give back so I don't have to store it or have it in my house for a really long time if I didn't want to use it for very long. If you just want something for like 6 weeks, like a little push walker or something like that, sometimes I just find one at a yard sale and then go give it away, donate it, or so I didn't even have to store it from kid to kid. Anyway, sorry to ramble about that, but if you want to have babies, go ahead and do it your way, and don't listen to all the experts who say what you need to have. Same with the clothes or anything. I was also told that you can't nurse when you're pregnant, but I nursed my babies even when I was pregnant through all of them. So that is obviously not true for some people. And I even tandem nursed the last ones, and because I wanted to experience what that was like. So if you feel like doing that, then that is perfectly fine too. Listen to yourself and pray about it, and don't always listen to the doctors or what other people say if you know your body the best. I was told, oh, and I guess to prove that, like all my babies were 8-pound babies, and then I had a few 7-pound babies. So it wasn't, I don't think it affected them at all to nurse while you're pregnant. And same with the gaining weight. I had all 8-pound babies, so mostly 8-pound babies, and I had the 7-pound babies, and that one 6'13" that was born a little bit early with the breech delivery that I told in another video. But all have been very, very healthy. I was also told not you're not going to get any sleep the whole first year. And all of my babies slept through the night at 8 weeks. I just learned how to sleep train them. And of course, they're all big babies. So I felt like, and they gained weight quickly, I felt like they could make it through the night just fine. So that was very easy. So things are as hard as people might tell you. The babies are just could be really hard. And they are hard. There is a lot of truth in that. But don't let it keep you from doing what you want or what you know is best. Because I knew a family during medical school is best for us. I knew nursing through the pregnancy was fine for me. I knew that they could sleep through the night early because they're big, healthy babies. None of them have ever had any problems or even get sick or had doctor visits or anything like that. And that's just, I guess, another point is like every time your child's sick, you don't have to rush them to the doctor. I kind of just listened to my own gut and asked God, do I need to take them in or not? And I usually could just feel, I always could feel when they're fine and when I knew this needed to see the doctor, which is very, very rare. Most of my kids have never ever been on antibiotic their whole life. They just haven't gotten sick or have gotten better within a couple of days, and I knew that they were okay. I've been told not to homeschool my kids, that they'll have no social life or no social skills. I was told with my first one, especially, she was very, very clingy. Even as a newborn, she only wanted me and didn't want her dad or grandparents or strangers or anybody to hold her. And she was like that as a toddler also. It wouldn't go to her church class or her nursery or anything like that. And I was told that she was, I've got to like put her in school. She's never going to leave home. She's never going to have friends. She's way too much of a homebody and clingy. And she went to college at 17. She has gone to Brazil for a mission for our church for 18 months. Then she's gone back there for like an internship. She's gone to France for an internship or a study abroad. She's gone to Germany for a study abroad. She's gone to London for a study abroad. She's been to 27 countries, just traveling between the study abroads and everything like that. 27 countries. And sometimes when I call her, she's just like saying she had 3 dates in 1 week. Like week after week, she has a lot of guys, after her in a nice way, wanting to get to know her. She has a lot of friends. She does a lot of service. She serves 1 day a week at a place. She's just like, I was really glad that I didn't listen to not homeschool and put her in public school. Not that the public school would have been bad or anything like that. I'm just saying that I'm glad I didn't use that as a reason to put her in public school, afraid of her not ever leaving home or being a homebody or anything like that, because now she's a world traveler. So I thought that was pretty funny. I wrote some notes over here, so I'm going to just turn my paper over to see. One time I took the kids on a big trip, and we call it the big trip. And I wanted to take them over to California to see my family and back to North Carolina. We live in North Carolina. First, we're going to go down to Florida and see Nathan's family, and then travel across Texas where we had lived during medical school, see our old house and friends, then over to California, and then back the northern route. You probably don't care about all this. Like through Yellowstone and Mount Rushmore and the St. Louis Arch, and come back to North Carolina. And I was told by so many people, like, don't do that. Like, what if your car breaks down? You can't leave your husband that long. It was going to be 2 months. It'd take us 2 months to do it. And we would stop and see all the sights along the way. The baby was 3 months old when we left and 5 months old when we got back. And the oldest was 11. And I was a little bit scared, but I had felt like we should do it. For months, I had planned it in my head with my oldest son. When I took him in every night, we'd kind of plan, where would we go on our first day? Where would we go on our second day? What would we see? And just to pretend. It was like totally hypothetical, maybe in a few years, maybe when he's a teenager, something like that. And then all of a sudden, like after doing that for months, like it just hit me like, go right now. And so we only had like 2 weeks to prepare. And I thought, yeah, we're going to go right now. And we did. We went on this trip, but several people before, like even like the day before, I said, don't do it. And people I really respected. And so I really kind of questioned like, should I do it or not? older people that I felt like I should listen to. But I just kind of went with my gut, and I was just like, I felt like we were supposed to do this trip. And yes, it was very hard. The baby was nursed exclusively the whole trip, so that was hard because we had to stop every 3 hours to nurse her. The 2-year-old got kind of constipated because she ate so much string cheese and goldfish in the car. We weren't quite as healthy eaters then as we are now. But that was a challenge. There's the toddler fits. There's the stress of getting into hotels every night and loading luggage in and everything. But later on, when things were going really difficult for me and I felt like God was a little bit silent in answering my prayers, I kept thinking like, does he really care about me? Like, why haven't I gotten any cool experiences lately or manifestations? And I always went back to that trip. I was always like, I know he loves me because he gave me that big trip. I loved that big trip. Like, it had been a dream come true for me. It had been awesome and amazing, despite a lot of the hardships and the challenges of traveling, keeping them good for 2 whole months straight, visiting a lot of family, a lot of friends, staying in motels, swimming at hotel pools. Like, I'm always trying to keep them really good, no fits, no crying. So it's very difficult. I mean, but I also, it felt very right. And I was so glad we got to see 22 states and really see the country. I really want to take my next 5 kids back. I had 7 kids at the time. So I'd taken this first 7 kids. And of course, the last 2 or 3 don't remember it. So I want to take the next bunch, another 7 kids on this trip again. But anyway, so I always said, I know God loves me because he gave me that big trip. So I'm super glad I went. Nothing bad happened like with the car or anything. And it was a big blessing for me. I was told not to homeschool high school because your kids won't be able to get into a college. And so far, I've graduated 4 kids at 16 or 17 years old, and they've all gone to Brigham Young University, which is a difficult school to get into. It's highly competitive. They've all been able to get some scholarships there and some financial aid, so they've been able to afford it. I guess that's a little bit different what I was saying about homeschooling high school. And I just kind of trusted them to homeschool the best they could during high school and to get into the college of their dreams, whatever college that they had chosen to do. But I'm glad that I did keep them in homeschool during high school. So, and not being afraid they wouldn't get into college, because that was false. I wouldn't have wanted to put them in public school just to get into college if that wasn't true. Did I say that right? I hope I said that right. That wasn't a good enough reason to put them in school. I mean, I'm glad I didn't listen to that. Okay, hopefully that made sense. I was also told that when I was really feeling strongly that the marriage needed to end, that because Nathan has Asperger's, and I was told by lots of counselors that divorcing a person with Asperger's is very high conflict. You have to go to court for a long time. It's very difficult to get away. Maybe I should try to just stay in the marriage, or figure out how to separate, or work things out, or whatever. And several counselors said I do need a divorce, but it's just going to be a very difficult process. And so I went with that really heavy on my shoulders, knowing that. But it wasn't what they said. Of course, I had God on my side, helping a lot, and it was very hard in some ways, but we did not have to ever go to court. I wrote out the papers myself, and I deleted a bunch of stuff in papers that I didn't want in there, that I knew wouldn't be okay with my husband, that he would have trouble with. I put things I wanted, like to be able to move out of state if I wanted, with the kids, and that I would be still homeschooling the children and having full custody. And, he was willing to sign for that. So I'm really grateful that I didn't listen and stay in a marriage, because it was starting to be very toxic to all of us, and very difficult and stressful. And now we are so much happier and just thriving on our own without that. I was told when I was trying to buy this house, then 36 acres is way too much for a single woman. And I mean, of course I agreed. I knew it was too much. I wasn't planning to buy this much. But it was like after I'd already had my heart set on it and fell in love with it, I knew it was the right place for me, that people were trying to talk me out of it. Someone had told me there's fruit trees on the property, and they're like, if you don't prune them right, they're all going to die. It's not fair that you are going to be with these fruit trees and kill them. Like, you should give them to somebody who's not going to kill them. And at first I was like, yeah, I know. What if I do? And I was kind of scared. What if I do let these beautiful fruit trees die that I've always wanted? And then I kind of turned it around and I thought, you don't go to Lowe's nursery and want to buy a little peach tree and the person says, oh, hey, do you know how to grow fruit trees? Oh, you don't. I'm not going to sell it to you because you might kill it. That wouldn't be right. I mean, the people, everybody buys them. And of course, a lot of them don't work out. They do die. But everyone's still given a chance to try. And so I wanted to be given this chance to try living here. And I thought, even if it's only 5 years and my peach trees die, I'm glad that I tried. I'm glad that I didn't not get this opportunity just because I might kill it, which it could be true. I knew I wasn't super good at it. Someone had also told me, like, pruning is going to take days and days, and you don't know how to do it. And I told my sister that, and she's just like, oh, hogwash, you love pruning. Like, I wouldn't want to, but you do. So go ahead and buy the property. You love to prune trees. A few days of pruning, will be fun for you. And then every year when I'm pruning in the winter, I'm thinking, I love pruning. I never complain about it taking so many days to do all of the fruit trees on the property. It's really fun for me. So I'm really glad I listened to her and not the people who said it would be too much work. And I did grow up with fruit trees. My dad showed me how to prune them, so I know a little bit. I mean, I'm not super good. Like our previous owners were amazing, but I'm still learning, and I'm still happy that I've got to try. When we wanted to get a cow, people said I would need a fancy milking parlor and a stanchion and all this other equipment, a place to tie her up and a milking stool and everything. And so I kind of always thought it was just a big investment and a lot of work and remodeling and building a milking parlor and things like that. And so I kind of was sad but then I also thought of, again, like the early settlers, I don't think they always had all of that when they were moving, especially pioneers crossing the plains, like Little House on the Prairie people. Like, they were still able to milk if the cows were in milk along the way. And so I thought, I'm sure you can do it simpler. And I did listen to a podcast with a lady who said she doesn't have a barn for her cow. And of course, she lived in Florida, so you can do that. And she just walks out there and milks. And she doesn't use a stool, she just squats. And so I watched her YouTube video about how she milked her cow. And I was like, yes, that's it. That fits me and my personality. So when we got our cow, I did the same thing. I feel like it's easier without a stool because then you don't have to move a little bit. But we just squat and milk, and it's pretty fast. Our cow is very gentle. It was easy to milk her, easy to take care of her. It didn't require a lot of those extra things. So I'm glad that we still got a cow and not let what people said deter us from doing that. So I think this is about all. I have a lot more stories, but these are just some examples. I'm not saying that my life is perfect from not listening to people or anything like that. There's still trials with all those things, and there's a lot of truth to what people are saying. A lot of nights I didn't get a lot of sleep with newborns. That is very true. So my point is to not let it keep you from doing your dreams or what you feel in your heart you should do. Don't use the worldly excuses or reasoning, because it might not, what's that word I'm looking for? It might not affect you that way. It might not be pertinent to you and the way you do things. So there's definitely some truth to what people say, but it doesn't make it impossible. You still can have the property that you want. You still can have children that you want. You can still put them in activities that you want, if that's what you feel is, even if it makes your schedule difficult. Or keep them home all the time and don't put them in activities, and they'll still turn out great if they do those activities at home and you're supportive that way. I'm just saying to think twice about the myths or stereotypes that you hear. Maybe someone will say you can't homeschool math for your kids or teach your kids math because you flunked algebra yourself, and like you might just think that's true, but it's not. You can still teach your children math. There's plenty of ways to learn. There's plenty of other tutors to help. And you can learn along with them. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. So just go with your gut and your heart and what you feel is best between you, God, your spouse, or your family, whatever you think. And I hope that you're able to do that to make your dreams come true. I hope that you're able to live the life that you want without listening to other people or what social media says or things like that. Thanks for watching and have a great day. One last thing, I'm so sorry about the cicadas and maybe the lighting. I had this all set up yesterday to do it out here. It was a really cloudy day. There was no noises. It was quiet. and then it started to sprinkle on me just as I was pushing record, and then it just downpoured on me. And this is right after I just did a video saying it hasn't rained in a long time, or it hasn't rained all week. But it downpoured on me, so I had to quit it. So I'm trying to come out here this morning, and I'm really sorry about the noise. I hope that you can still hear me. It just felt like it was the best place to try this morning. Anyway, have a great day.